to develop his land, to sell his land, to do whatever the construction in which he is interested. Okay, so that is nothing but your freehold properties, and basically leasehold properties are nothing but those properties which are kept reserved. We can say that that is for the for giving it on the lease, or for making some kind of the rent or the lease agreement, and then that particular owner can give his land, or it may be a constructed structure, to any other person who is dealing with that. Okay. Now the next part that we are going to discuss is nothing but the different forms of the lease. Now what are the different forms of the lease? Okay. लीज म्हणजे भाडेतत्वावरती देणे, हा ठीक आहे. थोडक्यात कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट करून जे तुमचे दुकानाची गाळी वगैरे, दुकानाचे गाळे जर तुम्ही बघत असताल, किंवा जे इंडस्ट्रियल शेड्स असतात, MIDC मध्ये तुम्ही ज्या छोट्या छोट्या फर्म्स पाहता किंवा काही इंडस्ट्रीज पाहता, ठीक आहे, ही प्रत्येक इंडस्ट्री काय त्या ऑनरची स्वतःची नसते. ठीक आहे, जो कोणी त्या कंपनीचा मालक असेल, he can take that particular infrastructure which is already constructed on the lease also. Okay, by making some lease agreement, म्हणजे भाडेतत्वाचा एक करार केलेला असतो. ठीक आहे. So what are the different forms of the lease? Basically, there are 5 types of the lease: building lease, then occupation lease, sublease, life lease, and perpetual lease. Okay. Now we are going to discuss the first category, that we called it as the building lease. Okay. Now what is building lease? In this case, the owner of a freehold open plot of a land, that is whatever the owner of a particular land, he can going to give his plot on the lease to some other person called as lessee. That is the person who is going to take his land on the lease, we called it as lessee, on an agreed amount of premium or grant rent, or combine of both. Okay. The leaseholder can erect the building up to the specified limit or amount in a specified time, and he can maintain the property or earn the income through the such properties. Okay. As far as this building lease are considered, since the leasehold spends sufficient money for the construction purpose, in such cases, the lease can be granted for a longer period, like 5, 50, 99, or 999 years. At the termination of the lease, the lessee becomes full owner of the land, and all buildings get erected. Okay. Now what is building lease? Again, I am going to describe it for you. So suppose I am the owner of a particular land. I have a 5 acres of land, out of which some land I have kept reserved for giving it on the lease. काही जागा मी ही भाडेतत्वावरती देण्यासाठी ठेवलेली आहे. So what I am going to do, I am going to give this freehold property, that I can construct it or anything, I can do it. Okay. I am going to give it on the lease to some person called as lessee. काय म्हटलं जातं, जो व्यक्ती भाडेतत्वावरती आपली जमीन घेतोय त्याला लेसी असं म्हटलं जातं. ठीक आहे. LESSEEE, lessee. Okay, so we are going to give our own land, or it may be a constructed structure, on the lease to some other person. That person we called it as a lessee, for a specified time, and with us for a specified income. Okay, by considering certain amount. Okay, that is I am going to give my land on lease. So yearly I expect annual income of 1,20,000, that is 10,000 rupees per month, or it may be 2,40,000, that is 20,000 rupees per month. Okay, so I am expecting some kind of return on my property. I am going to give it on the lease to some other person. That person we called it as lessee. That person, in specified duration, whatever the agreement which is there, lease agreement, in which your time is there. Okay, time is mentioned, lease agreement time, that is start of lease agreement and end of lease agreement. तुमचा करार कधीपासून चालू होतोय, तुमचा करार कधी संपतोय, म्हणजे किती वर्षांचा करार असणार आहे, कालावधी टोटल. ठीक आहे. त्या लीज ॲग्रीमेंटमध्ये मेन्शन केलेलं असतं. सो दॅट पर्टिक्युलर लेसी म्हणजे ज्या आपण भाडेतत्वावरती आपण जमीन देतोय, that particular lessee can construct it, can utilize that property for his own benefit for a specified time, and um, त्या बदल्यात what he is going to give, he is going to give certain amount to us. Okay, whatever the amount which has been mentioned in our lease agreement. Okay, so if there is termination of lease from our side, okay, I have given my land on the rent, but by default there are some disputes or some quarrels which are going to happen, and from my side I have terminated the lease. Okay, lease agreement. Then definitely the lessee, that is the person to whom I have given my property, is going to get full authority or full power, or he is considered as the owner of that particular land. Okay, if there is termination of the lease agreement from my side, if I'm going to make some mistake, if he is going to make some mistake, then definitely again that land which the lessor has given, generally the person who is going to give his land, we called it as lessor, and the person who is going to take a land on the lease, we called it as lessee. Okay, so the lessor becomes the owner of the land if there is termination of the agreement from the lessee. Okay, and if that there is termination of agreement from the lessor, then lessee becomes the owner of that particular land, and vice versa. So I hope this first category everyone is getting. Then second category is nothing but occupational lease. Okay, now what is occupational lease? In this case, the lease is granted against the premium or the rent or the combination of the owner of the property consisting of land and building for occupancy for fixed period to the another period. Okay, so what is the specialty of this occupational lease? This lease is granted against the premium or the rent or combination of the owner of the property which consists of your land and the particular building for the occupancy for a fixed period. Okay, the leaseholder does not have to spend the money to construct the building, and such lease is granted for a short term like 7, 14, or 21 years. Okay, so the basically occupational lease is just for a short period, that is for 7 or 21 years. The leaseholder will going to maintain the property as per the terms and conditions of the lease. It has become a standard practice to incorporate a rent revision or a rent review clause which enables the rent to be revised, usually for a fixed period of the particular time. So basically what is this occupational lease? If one has to understand in very simple terms, in case of the your building lease, basically we are going to focus on the open land that we are going to give it on the rent. Okay, open land basically. But as far as our occupational lease is considered, uh, already that land is get developed, already it is developed. Okay, it may be a one industrial shed is there, it may be a commercial building. Okay, you are just giving it on the rent. Okay, you are just giving it on the rent. The best example for the occupational lease I can say it is nothing but the banks which you are going to see in the market. ज्या बँका तुम्ही बघता, ठीक आहे, ह्या बँकामध्ये ह्या बँका कुठल्या तरी अपार्टमेंटच्या खाली जे गाड्या वगैरे असतात त्यामध्ये तुम्ही बँक्स बघितल्या असतात. त्या बँक ज्या असतात ह्या ऑक्युपेशनल लीजवरती असतात. म्हणजे बँकेसाठीच आपल्याला हा गाळा किंवा आपण जे स्ट्रक्चर तयार केलेलं आहे यातला हा पोर्शन मला फक्त बँकेसाठीच भाड्याने मी देऊ शकतो, त्या पद्धतीनेच तुम्ही कन्स्ट्रक्शन केलेलं असतं. ठीक आहे, कारण बँकेसाठी जे स्पेसिफाईड रूल्स आहेत की इतका एरिया पाहिजे तुमचा बिल्टअप एरिया, त्या तेवढा एरिया कन्सिडर करूनच तुम्ही बँकेसाठी म्हणा किंवा एखाद्या शॉप्स असतील, कमर्शियल शॉप्स असतील, मॉल्स असतील, तर मला भविष्यामध्ये माझी ही जागा फक्त मॉलसाठीच भाड्याने द्यायची, मग ते मॉलचा विचार करून त्या मॉलसाठी लागणारा एरिया कन्सिडर करूनच तुम्ही कन्स्ट्रक्शन केलेलं असतं. आणि मग तुम्ही काय करता, डायरेक्टली ती जी जागा असेल ती तुम्ही एखाद्या बँकेला किंवा त्या मॉल जो कोणी ऑनर असेल त्या मॉलचा त्याला तुम्ही ती जागा वापरण्यासाठी देता. आणि ऑलरेडी ती कन्स्ट्रक्टेड असल्यामुळे तिथे काय कन्स्ट्रक्शनचा विषय येत नाही. आपल्या बिल्डिंग लीज मध्ये मात्र आपण ओपन लँड देत असतो, त्यामुळे तिथे कन्स्ट्रक्शन हे जसं पाहिजे तसं तो लेसी करू शकतो. ठीक आहे. ऑक्युपेशनल लीज मध्ये ऑलरेडी एरिया हा कन्स्ट्रक्टेड असतो, तुम्हाला फक्त ती जागा भाडेतत्वावरती द्यायची असते. ठीक आहे. आणि हे शॉर्ट ड्युरेशन साठी आपण देतो, शक्यतो 7, 14, 21 या रेंज मध्ये आपण ते लीज करू शकतो. ठीक आहे. असं कुठलं फिक्स ड्युरेशन नाहीये की बाबा 7 म्हणजे 7च वर्षांसाठी पाहिजे. ठीक आहे. टर्म्स अँड कंडिशन, ॲज पर दी टर्म्स अँड कंडिशन्स ऑफ द लीज ॲग्रीमेंट तुम्ही लीज करू शकता. The next category or next type that we are going to discuss is nothing but the sublease. Okay. Now, depending upon the terms and conditions of the original lease, a leaseholder may grant a sublease to the person, that is other person. In all such cases, the original leaseholder will head the lessee for subleaseholder. Okay. It should be noted that the sublease can be granted only for a period less than original lease period. Usually, a gap of uh, it may be a 10 days is kept between the period of lease and sublease for the facilitating the revision or nothing but the some rules and regulations that one must has to follow. For that purpose, we are using the sublease. Okay. Now, basically, what is sublease? In simple words, if some for your understanding purpose, it's very simple phenomenon. I am the original owner. मी मूळ मालक आहे. I have constructed 10 commercial shops. How much? 10. 10 गाळे मी बांधकाम केलेले आहेत. मी काय करतोय, XYZ व्यक्ती आहे, त्याला गाळ्या भाड्याने देतोय. ठीक आहे. त्यानं माझ्याकडून 5 गाळे घेतलेले आहेत, ते भाड्याने घेतलेले आहेत. ठीक आहे. मी त्याच्याकडनं 10,000 रुपये भाडं घेतोय. ठीक आहे. काय करतोय, मी त्याच्याकडनं 10,000 रुपये भाडं घेतोय. मग ज्या व्यक्तीला मी ही जागा सबलीट केलेली होती, ज्या व्यक्तीला मी ही जागा लीज वरती दिलेली, तो व्यक्ती अजून तिसऱ्या व्यक्तीला ती जागा भाड्याने देतोय. तो व्यक्ती अजून ही जागा तिसऱ्या व्यक्तीला भाड्याने देतोय, सबलीज करतोय. ठीक आहे. या सबलीज मध्ये 2 प्रकार असतात. एक असतो हेड सबलीज आणि दुसरा असतो सबलीज. ठीक आहे. सबलीज म्हणजे ज्या व्यक्तीनं, तो जो मधला व्यक्ती असेल, हेड सबलीज ज्याला म्हटलं जातं, हेड लेसी ज्याला म्हटलं जातं, सॉरी, हेड लेसी कडनं ती जागा त्यानं भाडेतत्वावरती घेतलेली आहे. मूळ मालक कोण आहे? मूळ मालक मी आहे. आय एम द ऑनर ऑफ दिस पर्टिक्युलर लँड. आय हॅव गिवन माय लँड, आय हॅव गिवन माय प्रॉपर्टी टू ABC पर्सन, सपोज. ठीक आहे. त्या व्यक्तीचं नाव ABC आहे. अँड दॅट ABC अगेन has given that particular land or that particular constructed area to XYZ person. So our ABC person is nothing but our head lessee. ABC person is nothing but our head lessee. म्हणजे मी मूळ मालक आहे, माझी जागा मी दुसऱ्याला भाड्याने दिली, परत त्या माणसाने अजून ती जागा तिसऱ्या व्यक्तीला भाड्याने दिली. त्याला म्हटलं जातं सबलिजिंग करणं. ठीक आहे. बट सबलिजिंग करण्यापूर्वी फेथ इज द इम्पॉर्टंट थिंग. ज्यावेळेस तुम्ही हे असे सबलीज करत असता, विश्वास हा एक महत्वाची गोष्ट आहे. तुम्ही कुठल्या व्यक्तीसोबत ते सबलीज करत आहात, आणि तुम्ही हे जे सबलीज करताना तुम्ही तुमच्या मूळ मालकाला विश्वासात घेतलेला आहे का नाही, दॅट इज अगेन इम्पॉर्टंट पॅरामीटर as far as sublease is considered. Okay. Then next category is nothing but life lease. So in case of the life lease, the lease is granted for the duration of the life or the lives of one or more person. The lease comes to an end on the death of such person. म्हणजे एखाद्या व्यक्तीला ज्यावेळेस आपण जागा भाडेतत्वावरती देतो, फॉर हाऊ मच ड्युरेशन? फॉर द ड्युरेशन ऑफ हिज एंटायर लाईफ. तो व्यक्ती मरेपर्यंत ती जागा त्याच्याच नावावरती भाडेतत्वावरती असणार आहे. ठीक आहे. तर ज्यावेळेस अशा प्रकारचं लीज केलं जातं, त्याला म्हटलं जातं लाईफ लीज. आणि हे लाईफ लीज कधी कन्क्लूड होतं? ज्यावेळेस त्या व्यक्तीची डेथ होते. ठीक आहे. त्याला म्हटलं जातं लाईफ लीज. त्यानंतर आहे परपेच्युअल लीज. परपेच्युअल या शब्दातच त्याचा अर्थ आहे. परपेच्युअल म्हणजे कायमचा, परमनंट. ओके. सो द लीज इज ग्रँटेड फॉर अ इयर और नंबर ऑफ इयर्स, but it is renewable from time to time at the discretion or will or the desire of a leasehold in the perpetuity. Okay, the lessee is however required to respect the provision of the lease document, and as long as there is no violation of the lease conditions, the lessee cannot terminate the lease. So perpetual lease is nothing but permanent or ज्याला कायमची लीज असं म्हटलं जातं. ठीक आहे. Like for a longer duration we are going to make this kind of the lease. Okay, so here the whatever the lessee, that is the person who is going to take the land on the lease, has to follow all the rules and regulations which are mentioned in that particular lease contract. Okay, so that's all about the our first point, that is nothing but the types of the lease. Now without wasting time, we will moving towards our unit number 7. uh, so before proceeding, if anyone is having any doubt, you can ask me. Types of the lease, if you are having any doubt, you can please ask me, otherwise we will proceed further. I will give you 1 minute. Anyone is having any doubt, please unmute, or you can put it in the chat box also. Anyone is having any doubt? No one is having any doubt. Okay, let's move further then. uh, Already we have started with this particular point, that is valuation, then purpose of the valuation. Okay, so in the valuations, let's begin with chapter number 7 and chapter number 8. Combinedly we are going to start this particular chapter. As I said in my previous lecture also, these are dependent on each other. So let's come to the next point on the next chapter. uh, First thing that we are going to discuss, we called it as a gross income. Okay, now what is gross income actually? as far as we are considered, and what is the role they are going to play in our valuation work. Okay, so gross income is nothing but the total income, and it includes all the receipts from the various sources, then the outgoings, and the operational and collection charges are not deducted. So gross income is nothing but the your net income plus all the outgoings. Okay, so suppose I am having a 50,000 salary per month. Okay, so out of that 50,000 salary, what is the net income and what are the outgoings? Okay, so that you will come to know these three different terms. What is gross income? What is the difference between gross and net income? And what are the outgoings? Okay, so if you can go with the second definition, that is of net income or the net return, this is the savings or the amount left after deducting all the outgoings, operational and collection expenses from the gross income or the total receipt. That is why net income equals to gross income minus outgoings. That is, gross income equals to net income plus outgoings. Okay. Now, what is this difference between the gross income and net income? Okay. As I said earlier, I am having a 50,000 salary, but out of that 50,000 salaries, generally, I require 5,000 of rupees rent. I require around 7,000 rupees for these. What are the utensils, then kirana, everything, whatever I am going to purchase. Okay, around 3,000 rupees of medical that I require per month. So what are these? These are nothing but my outgoings. Okay, outgoings means these are nothing but the expenditure that I am going to do from my total income. My total gross income is 50,000. So out of 50,000, around 20,000 rupees I am going to spend every month. Every month I'm going to spend 20,000. So what is my actual net income? My net income is nothing but 50,000 minus 20,000. That is nothing but my net income. Okay, so net income is nothing but the saving or the amount left after deducting all the outgoings. Okay, now what are these outgoings? Outgoings are nothing but required to be incurred to maintain the revenue of building. Now this is in our construction sector. I have given you the example of day-to-day life. Okay, I have given you the example of day-to-day life. That is, suppose my income is 50,000 rupees. Out of 50,000, every month I require around 20,000 rupees for my um, giving the rent, then light bill, water bill, then kirana, then what are other expenditures, whatever it may be. It may be medical bill, everything, mobiles, petrol, everything. Okay. So this mobile, petrol, kirana, light bill, water bill, then other expenses are nothing but my outgoings. Generally, outgoings are 25 to 30. Generally, it is taken as 30%. Okay, of your gross income. Suppose generally my gross income is suppose 10,000 rupees. So around 3,000 rupees is nothing but your outgoings. Okay, whatever the amount left, that we called it as our net income. Okay, so that's all about these three different terms. That is gross income, net income, and the your outgoings. Now, next important parameter is nothing but the year's purchase, YP we called it as. Now, what is year's purchase? Just give me a minute. So years purchase. What is years purchase? So years purchase is defined as the capital sum required to be invested. Years purchase is nothing but the capital sum required to be invested in order to receive an annuity of rupees 1 at a certain rate of interest. Okay. Um, Before proceeding, let me clear to you, only less than 1 minute, that is few seconds are left to conclude this session. So if the session ends, please rejoin the session immediately so that we can save our time and we can start our session very fast. Okay. So less than 1 minute, that is few seconds are left to conclude this session. So if the session ends, please rejoin the session immediately.